This week on The Bachelor.
You are the first person that I'll bring home that's not in our same religion.
Do I have to become Mormon to be with this woman?
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the newest episode of The Bachelor, Season 29, Episode 6. Let's get right into this. Alright, so the episode begins with Grant and Latia's hometown, and he's pretty nervous because she says that he's the first non-Mormon person she's brought into her home. But that's a foreshadow of what's about to come. So we start from the very beginning. So Grant is getting ready for the week. He realizes the importance of this week. He really wants a family, so this means a lot. So his first hometown is with Juliana, who I really like. So they're in Massachusetts, and Juliana is Italian, which is a big part of her identity. And the little town that she's from is like a place with a strong Italian community. So they first go to an Italian pizzeria, and it seems like one of those towns where most people know everyone. So the guy working there recognizes Juliana, and not only are they there to eat some pizza, they're also there to make some as well. And I personally love a cooking date, so they toss the dough, throw some flour on each other, and they've made some heart-shaped pizzas and others to take to the house later. You can really see their romantic chemistry for sure, very playful but loving at the same time. They also went to a flower shop and to buy cannolis so they can also bring that over to Juliana's house. Juliana then tells Grant that she hasn't brought anyone to her house in a very, very long time. The last time she did, it didn't turn out so well. It was pretty bad, so her people might be a little tough, and, there's also the fact that he's dating three other girls, so, just letting him know in case they're a little, harsh. Then she gets into who he's going to be meeting, and he's going to be meeting the whole family tree. It's not even a family tree, it's the family forest. I mean, she says that her dad, mom, sister, brothers, uncle, aunt, cousin, that cousin, this cousin, a lot of people. That could definitely be a bit nervousing, but Grant is going to do his thing. So it's later that day, it's about nighttime now, and it's time to meet the family. It was so many of them, like over 30, which it's nice. I don't know if it's the best idea to have the entire family when there are still three other women, but it is what it is. It is good to see a lot of people because you really get to meet the family. So Grant is greeting all the people. He's saying hi, and Juliana's dad does a cheer, like a cheers with all of their drinks, and then when they cheer, Grant kisses Juliana just a peck in the mouth, and the dad's like, "Did you just kiss my daughter in my house?" Obviously, he's joking, but as the importance of meeting your significant other's family is, it could be a lot. So Juliana talks to her sister, and she says to her sister, like, he's the one. He aligns so much with me, like, and she begins to cry, but these are like happy tears. So that shows that she really does like him. Grant talks to Juliana's mom, and he tells her how him and Juliana bonded, and he shows her his lone wolf tattoo that he had shown, who he had shared that with Juliana, and he's pretty open with the mom about being alone a lot of his life. Grant then talks to Juliana's father, and the dad tells Grant, like, he is seeing Juliana the way she looks at Grant and talks about him, and he sees that she truly likes him. But that doesn't make him fully happy. That makes him also a little worried that she might be hurt because she's not the only one that's going through all of this right now. So he asks Grant, what does he think of her? And Grant says, I really like her. I'm attracted to her character, her loyalty, and I'm falling for her. And she's a woman who can help me grow. I can do the same for her. Like, I see a partner who can be there for me, and I can be there for them. I also respect you and respect what you've done keeping your family together. I didn't have that type of family when I grew up, so to have you as a father-in-law, I would love to learn so much from you. I think Grant gave some amazing answers. If I was the dad, I would feel very satisfied with Grant's conversation. So then the dad goes to talk to Juliana, and he asks her about her heart maybe being broken, and Juliana says that she does get nervous, but Grant is such a solid man. She feels very confident. The dad says, well, he said some very important things to me. He mentioned how he was very dedicated to being with someone and working everything together. And he sees that Grant seems to be ready for a relationship. So he pretty much gave Grant the approval that a father is to give. Overall, this was a great hometown. So before he leaves, Grant talks to Juliana. He says, I was nervous, I'm not gonna lie, but I love meeting your family. Your dad was amazing, and I want to tell you that I am also falling for you. And I can see this. Because remember, Juliana had said this to him last week. He hadn't said it yet, but now he's reciprocating it. He has now told her. And Juliana was so happy. She hates that he has to go to be with other women, but that was a very nice hometown. So now Grant is in New York. He meets up with Zoe. I'm going to be honest, I can't believe Zoe got a hometown. I feel like it was definitely by default. I don't think there's much there. I've always said that I think having hometowns with four women is, or men when it's the Bachelorette, it's way too much. I feel like hometowns should be maybe the final two, maybe three. And this season is crazier because this is only episode 6. It's a very short season, so yeah. Like, how are you ready for hometowns already? Zoe and Grant go to some studio where they will be taking engagement pictures. Who came up with this idea? Now, I get Zoe was a model, and it kind of makes sense why they would be doing a photo shoot, but to do one where he's pretending to propose, another one where she's wearing a white dress, and then there's another. I don't know. I think it was a bad idea. They go to the rooftop, and Zoe meets up with him wearing a real wedding dress. And I just don't see a spark with them. uh, Grant is being, loving to her, kissing her, grabbing her, but I don't know. So then they sit down and talk. They talk a little about their childhood. She tells him that he's not going to meet her adoptive parents because they had, or they still have, their problems, and they're not really in her life anymore. But he will be meeting her sister, her aunt, her uncle, and some of her friends. I do feel bad for her. I know that she's gone through a lot. So then they go to meet the family. It's still during the daytime, and they seem to really love Zoe, which is great. Her sister looks a lot like her and was so happy to see her. Beautiful home, also. The uncle says they seem very happy. Grant says that Zoe is strong and unwavering, which he truly values. Zoe then talks to her uncle and aunt. She says to them that she's really connected to him. She says he compliments her. She needs a strong man because she's a strong woman, and he's very understanding of her. The aunt can see that a connection is there, but she can also tell that there are still many, many layers to peel for, like, with them. Zoe then talks to her sister, and her sister says that she's never seen Zoe this happy with someone else before. Her sister is so happy for her. Zoe does mention, though, that all three of the other women left have had extravagant dates, and she's referring to the one-on-ones. And I feel bad because she hasn't had one. So then the sister goes to talk to Grant, and she asks him why hasn't he had a one-on-one with Zoe, and how did they get to this point if he hasn't had one. And Grant says that they haven't had one because they were still pretty surface level, but within certain conversations leading up to this week, he got from her what he would have gotten from a one-on-one. She then asks if it scares him that Zoe has a strained relationship with her parents, and Grant says no, absolutely not. Matter of fact, he relates to that. He relates more to that. The sister asks if they had said they love each other. He says no, not yet. So then Grant and her say goodbye. Him and Zoe, they definitely did connect to a different level. He's gotten to know her a little bit more, and she says that she feels confident and hopeful. He says I do too, and then they say goodbye. Time for the third hometown. Grant is in Wyoming. He's meeting Latia's family. It's a very country place, lots of nature. So Latia is not from Wyoming, but she did live there, or her grandma lives there. I'm kind of confused, but this is where they're at. Then they ride some horses, which Grant says that he'd love to do. Grant says that his mom would love Latia because his mom's very country. Also, let's not forget that last week, Grant told Latia that he's falling for her. It was actually a beautiful place where they're riding horses at. It looked like it was straight out of a movie. So then they sit down to talk, and this is the conversation that the episode began with, that sneak peek of her saying that her entire family is Mormon, she's only dated Mormons, and he says that his faith is very important to him. He just doesn't know about Mormonism. He doesn't even think he's ever met a Mormon. I'm gonna be honest, love everyone in their religions, but I am a Christian myself. I don't think I would probably marry a Mormon or a Jehovah Witness. I'm just not gonna do it. So Grant is walking in there feeling a bit nervous. He doesn't know if they're going to judge him, but he's going. So Grant gets there with her and they meet the family. He meets her mom and dad and uncles. Then they say they have a surprise and they go to the backyard, and yet again, a whole damn village. Ugh, I don't know, y'all. It's a little too much for me. Also, I got confused. I was like, is she adopted? Like, I can't remember. So then Grant goes to talk to the dad, and he does say that just because he's not a member of their church doesn't mean they won't accept him. He was actually a very nice guy. The important thing for them is that Grant has faith, that he has values, and that he respects her. Grant then talks to Latia's mom. She asks how does he know they could be engaged, and he says they still have steps to go, but he definitely is falling for their daughter. She says to him that she hopes that he can be himself around them, and I think that was very good for Grant to hear. A lot of his worries, a, a lot of the worries that he had coming in sort of eased off after hearing this. The mom says that Latia is ready to start a family whenever he's ready. Latia then has a conversation with her grandpa, and she says how amazing it was that they as a family accepted her dad. And then they show a picture of her biological dad. So it was here when I remembered that yes, she had mentioned that her father died when she was very young, and her father was indigenous to Fiji. When she's talking to her grandpa, the grandpa says, I wish your grandma was here to see this. And Latia then says to him, I think I love him, Grandpa. I think I do. So then Latia talks to her mom and she tells her, he's told me that he's falling for me. I haven't yet said it to him. I think I am, but I am worried about next week because next week is fantasy suites. And I'm not going to sleep with him, but I don't know how I'll react if he sleeps with the other two. But the mom says that Latia should have an open mind. Latia then says that the moment she truly fell in love with him was when they were having that conversation and Grant told her about how lonely he was when he was a little kid. And the mom tells her that she should tell him. So Grant and Latia talk. She says that she is so happy about today, and after today, she can see it. And she has been wanting to tell him all day that she's falling in love with him. And he says he is too again. So this was the moment where I, as a viewer, I was like, oh, okay, now I know who the two women are that Grant isn't going to be able to choose in the finale. It's very clear. Okay, so it is now time for the last hometown. It is for Dina. They're in Chicago. She's showing him around. Dina has something to tell Grant, though. So her dad is a pastor. They're very religious. So the idea that their daughter is with a guy who's dating 25 other women and she's doing this show and all this stuff just doesn't really sit well with them. So Grant is not going to get to meet her parents. Dina says, I don't want you to think that they have something against you specifically. They don't. It's just this whole thing. And Grant says, well, can I ask you, like, how do you feel? And Dina says, I do like you a lot, and I don't take an engagement lightly. I do want you to get a sense of who I am through my friends. You know, if we decide to continue this together, you will meet my family, but just not today. Now, it's a little crazy that this is happening, and it's disappointing for Grant, and I'm sure for Dina too. Dina thinks, like, what if Grant thinks we're not as close as we are because of my parents not wanting to be part of this today? So then they go to, like, a carnival place where they had a bunch of, a pumpkin patch and a bunch of different, carnival type of games and things. Then the girlfriends come. It was about 15 of them. And Dina's very emotional when she sees them because these are her true friends. So they're also playing games at the carnival and things like that, having a fun time. Dina tells her friends how much she likes him, and it's disappointing that her parents opted out of the hometowns, but her friends are her family too, and they know her very well. Some of them do pull Grant aside to ask him some questions. He says that Dina intrigues him so much because she's so accomplished, so independent, but he is bummed that he's not meeting her parents. One of them tells him that Dina's family is just very skeptical because they are protective of her, but they will definitely embrace him at some point. Some of the girls ask Dina where is she at, and Dina says that she's kind of starting to maybe fall in love with him. So before saying goodbye, Grant says that he had a great day, and it definitely was a great day. I feel like it was a great day that you would have during the season, maybe not just in hometowns. That's not really what hometowns is supposed to be. So it is now a new day. Hometowns are done, and Grant meets up with Joey, the previous bachelor, just to talk about to someone who's also been in these shoes before. So Joey tells him to remember that obviously hometowns are important and it's a big step, but the following steps are even more important. It wasn't until his overnight that he really knew Kelsey was the one he was going to end up with. So, don't forget that. Grant tells him that he didn't meet Dina's family, but it wasn't too bad. And Joey says, yeah, sometimes it's actually kind of good that problems like these arise because then you'll know how to overcome them. And they talk about the rose ceremony and how hard it's going to be. We also see the ladies together. It's very awkward, I mean, just naturally. But they're all sharing about their hometowns, and most of them are happy. But as everyone is talking about him meeting their family and extended family and all this, it does make Dina feel bad, and I feel bad for her. So then it is time for the rose ceremony. And to make the long story short, he gives Latia, Juliana, and finally Zoe the roses. I feel like yet again Zoe is only advancing by default. But Grant goes to talk to Dina and he tells her that she's an amazing woman and he's grateful to have been around her. And he says goodbye. I felt so bad for her. Now, I've got to say, honestly, props to Dina. Like, I take my hat off for her. The way that she left in such an elegant, classy, intelligent, sophisticated way with so much dignity and respect, I really applaud her, and I wouldn't mind if she was the next Bachelorette. And you know what, Dina? I feel so bad. Like, honestly, your parents can. Mm, they, yeah, the fact now we'll never know if they would have agreed to this if he would have chosen her, but the fact that there's always going to be a possibility that maybe they sabotage this for her, honestly, f them for that. F them. But I hope that she gets her happy ending because she is a great woman. So yeah, you guys, we're down to the final three again. Zoe's kind of just floating, so we really do know that this is going to come down to Latia versus Juliana, and it's going to be interesting. So yeah, you guys, let me know what your thoughts were about this episode. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.